This episode takes a time jump. It happens on day 76. The last time we were at the beach camp was day 73, and day 74 had the events from last episode, Stranger in a Strange Land. Therefore, I'll begin by filling in the blanks. First things first is to address the weirdness of last week's episode, and particularly the character of Isabel. I'm not a fan of her character, having such a prominent role in the last episode and then never seen again. In the season 3 bonus feature, The World of the Others, Damon Lindelof hinted that she died.
We killed a lot of others in the finale.
Ready, 10, 3, 2, 1, go!
There was a lot of house cleaning going on. There's still a group that's moving for the temple, but Friendly is dead, and Isabel is dead, and Price is dead. Pickett obviously died earlier. Clue is gone. Mikhail is dead. So, in the war of us versus the others, we did pretty well in this sort of final tally.
Granted, in season 6 we're introduced to Dogen and Lennon, which was criticized, and I agree with the criticism, but they were living in a location we had never seen up until season 6, which was shielded off with a wall and considered a secluded secret place just for the others. But Isabel had such a big law-making hand in the decision-making on Harder Island, while Ben had his surgery. I wonder what happened to her. Surely she would have been seen or had something to say in key episodes involving the others and their decision-making, right? I mean, the showrunners imply that Isabel died in the season finale, but she's not in this episode. Look closely at the others. She isn't credited for this episode. She's not there, and Ryan said he would take his 10 best. Now, does Isabel take orders from Ryan? Since the showrunner never showed her death on screen, we as an audience can try to fill in the blanks ourselves with our personal theories. My personal theory is that she left the island with Tom. It's kind of bouncing the scenes they shared together in the previous episode. A cold-blooded strict woman with a keen sense of law and order could be useful in Ben's off-island network.
I can get off this island, and when I do, I have a vast network of people and resources that will get you that money. All you have to do is cut me loose.
Some of the high-ranking members of the others are allowed to leave the island, such as Tom and Richard, and Isabel had a high ranking, higher than Juliet. So I think they take the sub and leave. The next time we'll see Tom would be without Isabel, but he would bring Anthony Cooper as well as the newly recorded Red Sox tape. More on that later. If Isabel died off island or lived, well, that's up to the viewer. Did she die in a shootout involving Widmore's goons and Ben's people right before Tom acquired the tape? Or did she administer stuff like Michael Dawson's fake passport along with Tom? Or did she marry Jill and lived a happy life together? Point is, she's not on the island and never returned. That's my theory. The next off-screen thing will be the journey of Kate and Sawyer. I believe they would wander off into the jungle. Not sure if Sawyer would recognize any of this. It's quite in the same area from when he was with the Tailies, but he was so wounded back then. Maybe he recognized some things or maybe he didn't. I believe that they wander around a bit and then maybe they recognize the pneumatic tube dump, the one we saw in the season 2 finale. And from there they would be able to find their way back to their campsite. Still having a long walk, they start walking on day 74 and would end up in their camp after 2 days, which is approximately the time it takes to walk from the north to the south side of the island. Let's go further down south. A fun fact that this day is the last day Locke slept at the beach camp for the rest of the show. Yes, it's crazy to think about it, but he wanders off, stays with the others, comes back to an area close to the beach camp for a few minutes, moves into the barracks, travels to the cabin, then to the Orchid, and when he returns to the beach, it's while they are time traveling. He only spends a few minutes there before he gets to the wheel and leaves the island. Vincent has wandered off quite far away, all the way to this area. Another thing is that Desmond has likely learned everything about all the castaways by now. He's now gone from being the new guy to a fully fledged member of the camp. Charlie tells Hurley about Desmond's visions and Hurley blames his curse. They are interrupted by Vincent carrying a skeleton's arm. Hurley follows him. It's a bit odd that Hurley follows him for such a long distance, but that's what you get with setting the Dharma van near the golf course valley. So suspend your disbelief a little bit. Hurley finds the car. and then treks back to the campsite. He asks for help starting it for fun, but the other survivors refuse. At some point off screen he might have told someone, for instance Charlie, that if he'll change his mind that they'll be up the hill near the golf course, because someone will have to guide Sawyer to this location. Hurley and Jin will trek through the jungle and back to the car. Vincent is still there. Sawyer and Kate go through the jungle. They're currently over here. This is the exact same location where Charlie and Locke talked about the Swan Station, and like Kate says, the beach camp should be behind those trees. When Kate and Sawyer are back, they will likely swap stories. The group will learn that fake Henry's name is Ben, about Hydra Island and everything else, while Kate and Sawyer will learn about what happened to Mr. Echo, since Kate doesn't react to the news surrounding his death at the end of this episode.
How?
Because of the way the sunlight hit Mr. Echo's stick when John was burying him.
As well as learning about what happened at the Swan Station. The consensus with the castaways will be that Desmond blew it up. But the first thing they do is to change clothes. Sawyer discovers his stash is gone and finds out Hurley is the third one that went through it.
Well, to be fair, there was three of us.
Yeah, there was.
You, the Munchkin, and who else?
This is where my off-screen point about Charlie comes in. He tells Sawyer where Hurley is. Hurley and Jin pull most of Roger out of the van and flip the van over. Sawyer arrives and helps. Kate tells Saeed and Locke about what happened, then leaves to get help from Rousseau. At some point off-screen, Kate must have asked Rousseau where she resides now that her shelter is blown up. Could have been on their trek to the Black Rock or the trek to the medical station.
Looks like those DHARMA freaks were building some sort of dirt road.
Sawyer finds a map. It doesn't help us much about mapping the island. It's a map of the road, and over here we can see a map of the Swan Station. This is quite cool, since Hurley will be driving on that same road 30 years in the past. When placing it above my map, I've done it like this, so the road turns about when passing through these mountains here before it goes up north. Also, if you try to decipher what is on this papers, well, don't bother. Hardcore Lost fans were already on the case back in 2007 when the episode aired and found out all of this is just junk the crew acquired. The paper is from an educational non-profit organization in Hawaii called Ho'olulahui, which seeks to perpetuate cultural traditions and practices of the ancient Hawaiians at the bottom. It's signed by their boss, Susan Osborne. Hurley tries to start the van, Jin works on the engine, Sawyer drinks the beer, Vincent sits around, Hurley prays for help and goes to the beach camp and enlists Charlie to help push the van down a hill. They go back to the van. This is the same hill the characters walked down after they picked up the French transmission.
We should make camp.
What, here?
Yes, here.
I'm not stopping. Y'all have a nice cookout.
They go down the hill. Convincing himself there is no curse, Hurley successfully starts the van. I love that Shambhala plays. The song takes its name from the city of Shambhala in Vajrayana Buddhism. It is a term meaning a place of peace, tranquility, happiness. Shambhala being a city that floats over the desert, governed by a mythical religious figure. The four take a joyride in the valley. Hurley stays behind and take a few more lapses, while Sawyer, Charlie, Jin and Vincent go back to the beach camp. At some point Hurley will park the car someplace. That night, Locke and Saeed follow Kate, who asks Rousseau for help to free Jack.
And the girl who helped me escape. She was about 16 years old. And her name was Alex.
See you guys next week, and please subscribe for more island exploration.